Ah! Oh! That was easier than I thought it was. Why is that the easiest part of this whole thing? Let's get real here for a second. This part of the project is kind of what's called the messy middle. It's where the excitement of starting has kind of worn off and you can't really see the finish line. And let me tell you, it's tough. There's times when your brain kind of whispers like maybe this isn't for you or maybe you should quit. But hear me out. This isn't failure. This is what progress actually looks like. It's messy, it's frustrating, and it's normal. Most people quit here, but you and I, we're not most people. We keep showing up, one wrench, one part, one step at a time. So if you're stuck on your own project, remember, we're not doing it wrong. We're just in the part that makes most people quit. So keep on tinkering. This week is my spring break, and I'm going to be tackling the suspension. So I'm going to do front and rear, from torsion bars to trailing arms to Bilstein shock absorbers and ground control coilovers. Welcome to Suspension Spring Break. Let me turn on the compressor and let's get going. It's down to bare metal. I didn't think we would be able to do it. That's pretty good. Now it's time for these guys. And now I'm going to go into my freezer and grab the bearings because it's helpful if they're cold. So this came from 914 Rubber, right out of the freezer, still pretty chilly. Not bad, look at this, looks ready to install. Okay, so here I have the carrier. Ow, that's hot. And the bushing, and I'm going to douse it with a bit of soap. So I put it in warm water to heat it up. Very careful, it smells like chicken nuggets. So with very little force, it should go right in. And there we go, all pressed on. Look at that. This is the carrier and the bushing pushed together that I already did, and it fits onto the back and just like pushes. So you have this and you have the lock nut and it all. This pilot tool here, I wrapped it in tape so that way it is completely centered along the arm. So I'm centering this threaded rod in the hole that goes through this. Boiling hot, covering it in soap. Goes like that. Okay, put that one there. Now we have the guiding tool and a giant washer. We have this, I'm working fast because we only have 10 minutes to be able to get this on. So far, so good. Last final turn, and now I'm going to position this to 14 degrees. So I'm gonna level this out. Let's see, it needs to be about right in between the two lines. So I'm going to use this wrench here, perfectly in between the two lines. Okay, so it's a little off. I need to tilt it just a bit more down. There we go, okay. So if your control arm bushings are rusty, dry rotted, busty, crusty, anything, just go to 914 Rubber, they have it all. And also, make sure to get yourself an extra, because I ripped this and it was bad. And just have a safety net. Today I'm going to be tackling the shocks, and they are going to be upgraded with the Bilstein shock absorbers and the ground control coilover kit. Let's hop right into it. Unboxing time! Since teaming up with Bilstein and Ground Control, I have been learning quite a few things here. Jay from Ground Control has been mentoring me on all things suspension, and we landed on the 200-pound spring as opposed to the typical 100-pound because of the ride frequency, which we took into account the front weight in addition to the rear weight. And we landed on the 200-pound spring. What makes the ground control coilovers so cool is that this gives you like super precise control of your ride height. So one rotation of this gives you 1/8 of an inch up or down. This is the aluminum top hat, and it has holes on it for a reason. This is where you can put through zip ties to keep it all together while you're building. This is the Bilstein shock, and Jay suggested putting this adjustable spring clip on the second from the top level based on our anticipated preload. So this is a MCU bump stock, aka microcellular urethane. That's what Jay told me. Time to put on the 200-pound spring. These are the parts from my original shocks that I had plated by PMB, and they look amazing. Shock bushing from 914 rubber, and now it's time to go on the car. This was a successful shock transformation with the tips and learning how to calculate ride frequency from Jay from ground control to the quality of the Bilsteins pairing together with the ground control coilovers. This was awesome. Up next, installation. Put on the upper shock mounting bushing. I'm gonna leave it a little bit loose for now while I put in the trailing arm, but later I will torque it to Bilstein specs, which is 34 foot-pounds. Oh, okay. These guys are heavy. The console, a washer, and a nut, and this is going to be torqued to 108 foot-pounds. These are the new shim and bolt set from 914 rubber. So this is my original bracket and the new bolts with their schnorr washers. And then I made sure to measure out my old ones, and I'm going to be putting them in. And they might have to be adjusted for alignment later on, but for now, that's where they're gonna be. Now that the trailing arm's in, it's time to put the shock bolt in with these washers from the Bilstein box. Now that the rotor and stub axles are on, it's time to put in the brake calipers. These guys are from PMB when I went to go visit their shop a couple years ago, and these guys are still so fresh. Let's put them on. Perfect. This is our steering rack that we rebuilt in our turbo tie rod episode with the turbo tie rod kit from 914 rubber. On goes the dust boot. I'm going to be putting the ball joint onto the A-arm, and this is going to get 180 pounds of torque, which is crazy. This is the ball joint from 914 rubber, and there are differences between the early and the late ones. So my car is a late car, but I accidentally got the early ball joint. It has a curve rather than kind of a V shape, so I had to make sure to get the V-shaped one for the late car. Even though I am updating these springs to be 200 pounds, I'm gonna leave the torsion bars the same after talking with Jet. I'm gonna start by putting some anti-seize on these guys and sliding them into the A-arms. This is the 914 rubber torsion bar adjuster gasket and the torsion adjuster, freshly plated from Eric at PMB Performance. This goes on super easy. Now onto the front suspension. Jay taught me to add ATF into the assembly, which will allow the temperature of the whole assembly to stabilize as quickly as possible by removing that barrier to heat transfer, aka the air. Now I'm going to torque this with the Bilstein tool.
This two-piece strut tower rubber replacement from 914 Rubber is so much easier to get off and on versus the original, and it goes on with the brackets zinc-plated thanks to PMB.
Now that this is in, it's time to put in this special pin. Making sure it's all lined up. As you heard, took a little bit of muscle, but now it's time to torque it.
Cool trick I learned. Slice a slot in the old race to help push the new one in. The slot lets it pop right out.
This is the wheel bearing seal from 914 Rubber. The dust shield goes on with these little screws. Oh, got it.
This spindle locking nut goes on next, making sure I don't tighten it all the way and that the washer has some play behind it as to not let the bearing bind up. I'm gonna torque that too, 11 foot-pounds.
These look amazing. I definitely think I made the right decision going all white with these, and thanks to Glenn Cordell, who made renderings of the 914 with white bright work. That's the end of the suspension rebuild. I think the white looks amazing. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below, but I'm excited. This project was definitely tricky to do, like getting all the bushings on that A-arm, oh, that was a nightmare. And then also the hub shaft. Turns out we accidentally had some of our old bearing on there and we had to like cut it off in order to get the hub shaft into the trailing arm. Definitely a learning experience, but it looks sick and that's really what it's all about. So keep on tinkering.